Welcome to Impact and Influence, the podcast for current and emerging leaders to build on leadership capability, sustainability, and purpose. This series opens the door to what's possible to build a life in leadership by design, not by default. Impact and Influence is proudly brought to you by Flick It Over, an industry-leading forms provider and e-signature platform built for real estate. Flick It Over is an office-wide solution for sales, property management and operations that delivers noticeable efficiency and a seamless client signing experience via email and SMS. Unleash the power of SMS and get documents back 60% faster with Flick It Over. Welcome back to another Impact and Influence interview from New York City. Excited today to have Daniel McCulloch sitting across from me.
G'day, Kylie. How you going?
I'm fantastic. What's Daniel McCulloch doing in New York City?
Isn't it unreal? It's New York.
What are you doing here?
Unbelievable.
Besides, you got on a plane and came over for the
brought
interview.
the family over, so Karina and the kids are here, and we're off to Philadelphia tomorrow. I'm doing we've obviously got this thing here with you today, which has been good, and then talking to the TFI sales team based here in Philadelphia. So TFI is they're the largest exporter of red meat, sheep and lamb beef in Australia, and they've got a team over here in the USA. So I'm doing a talk with them, and then we're being put up for a week doing tours around Finger Lakes and Rochester with the Wiegman Group. So the Wiegman Group are one of the largest privately owned supermarkets in America, I suppose you'd say. So they done a farm tour of our property back in Tamworth, and their family's putting us up over here and showing us around. And yeah,
well, I'm going to ask you more about that in a second. But to give context to our listeners all over the world, I'd like to share a little bit about you, Daniel. So Daniel McCulloch is one of Australia's most decorated rural real estate professionals with over 20 years of experience spanning livestock marketing, rural property sales and agribusiness transactions across northern New South Wales and Queensland. You founded McCulloch Agencies. I can't believe this was so long ago. You founded McCulloch Agencies in Tamworth in 2019 alongside your beautiful wife, Karina, building it into a respected family-owned stock and station agency and with a lot of innovation and great culture, and did things differently. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. In 2023, you made a strategic move to be a shareholder and a senior director of agribusiness transaction company called Lord, LAWD. And then you returned to McCulloch Agencies to be an independent operator in 2025. And we're going to talk why in a minute, around why you did that and the entrepreneurial spirit that you have of having your own private business and ownership. You're a celebrated auctioneer, and we are going to dive into that today. I'm really proud to see how you evolved as a business leader over the years as well. And I think it all started, and this is probably a really good place to segue. You've said Tamworth a couple of times, but coming from Tamworth and going down and winning the New South Wales Young Auctioneers competition in 2006 and taking out national titles, and then coming over here to Canada, wasn't it, I think, to
Canada,
compete
yep.
in the World Championships. So very, very rare skill set across not only stock and station agency. You and Karina have got rural holdings and properties. You got into real estate a couple of years ago, and now more and more public speaking. You're turning up everywhere, and you did a gig for us the other day in the Hunter Valley. So a huge amount of career highlights. I'll put the words away now on paper and have a conversation with you. So you grew up in Tamworth on the family farm, and then left school there, and then sort of went straight into the stock and station agent game.
Straight
Is that what
agency.
happened?
Yeah, yep. It was definitely always going to be an ag. I was going to be a shearer, going to be a boilermaker, do an apprenticeship leaving year 10, but Dad wouldn't let me because I didn't have my licence. So he said start year 11 and 12 and just fell into agency, done a work experience, and fell into the stock and station agency.
And absolutely born
love it. Yeah. It's definitely not work. It's just what we do. Yep.
Yeah. And how long were you in the agency game before you sort of started to get a bit of an appetite that, I want to have some skin in the game with this?
So it wasn't that long. Like basically, we started. I was with JV Goodwin at the start, so we'd had a couple of years there. He was.
Forgot you started with Jay.
It was. So, and I was. He put a young bloke on, and I was the young bloke there, and I was headhunted by a company called Davidson Cameron, and then basically due to my respect to Jason, his wife Pete, I didn't want to leave him. I wanted to become a shareholder in his business, but his business was too immature at that stage. Like, it was only a young business as well, so we didn't get that opportunity. So I said no to Davidson Cameron to start off with, but then they come back to me with, well, if we're going to do it, we're going to go to Tamworth. We'll give you 49% share of a startup business and we called it Davidson Cameron McCulloch & Co. And at that stage, I was only probably 20, so and all my peers in the industry.
A lot of responsibility
huge,
for someone
huge.
at 20. Were you ready for it?
No, definitely not. But didn't know that I wasn't either at that stage. Like just, I had 2 or 3 employees that were 50 and 60 years of age, and all my peers they were sort of 30 and 40, just hitting their straps, running these massive big businesses, and here I am with a 49% equity shareholder at the age of 20. Only just married, young kids, and it was just like, wow. But at the time, you just didn't care. Like you just went,
having a crack. And did you feel, and listeners will be going, God, she's direct with him. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, 100%,
so I'm just going to ask some questions. Did you feel like at the time, and this is no reflection on any of the companies, but going in that young without any sort of mentorship around business literacy and leadership, do you feel like you were set up for success or set up for failure?
Oh, I don't really look at it that way. Like the rural industry is so different to the real estate industry. Like in the real estate industry, like there's training here, training there. Like you've got your business. Like there is not a business like yours in rural. You know what I mean? Like the Tom Penners and the McGraths, all them big flash ones that you see in training. Real estate.
So you're talking about for stock and station.
For stock
segment,
and station,
yep.
like in the agriculture and stock and station agency, there's no training. It's sink or swim, and it's
hard.
Work hard. It's knock on doors. That's how them blokes have been doing it for 20 and 30 years. That's how to do it. And if you don't do it like that, you're going to
very relationship based, right?
100%. Yeah.
And I think something you and Karina have done incredibly well. And I don't want to skip the time after you left McCulloch, but something you've done incredibly well is the culture that you've had with your people. And we were talking about this the other day, with people that have worked with you and just stayed.
Yes,
And no doubt one day in the future might come back, I don't know. But how do you do that? How do you invest that time, and how do you ingrain that culture to just have people that will literally take a bullet for you and vice versa?
Well, I suppose you just got to be able to prepare to take a bullet for them, I suppose. Like that's a lot of the people are like us. Like we don't do any sorts of formal training and all that sort of thing. Like it's I don't know what to do, but it's just the people that we've got have been very loyal to us, and we're very loyal to them. And if they need something, they know that we'd be there for them.
How vulnerable and open are you with them around the business and authenticity?
Pretty well. We probably when we first started McCulloch Agents, we opened the books right up, but it probably scared a few of the young ones. You know what I mean? Like when they
got no idea what it takes.
No idea, and it sort of scared them a bit. So we've brought it back in, and we because we wanted to be as transparent as anything. We didn't want to hide the profits, hide the losses, all that sort of stuff. Because owning a business, everybody thinks it's great, but it can be very scary at times, right? So when you're operating costs are over $100,000 a week, and these young blokes are getting paid 30 and 40 grand, and they're thinking, well, twice my annual salary it costs to run this business a week. It scares them. They think that we're going to go broke. You know what I mean? So they don't want to work for us because everybody's living their own life and running their own race. So they're thinking, geez, this company's so risky, because a lot of the stuff we've done is just high risk. You know what I mean? Like absolutely mad at some of the stuff. Like you look back on what we've done now in the last 5 to 6 or 7 years, like it's just crazy. Like people say, why would you do that? But I look at life as like, what's the worst that can go wrong?
You
what's
don't get
the
a
worst
second crack at it, right?
Just have a go.
This is it.
Yep.
Try and fail or try and succeed.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Can we jump back for a second?
Yep.
So Davidson Cameron McCulloch.
Yep.
How long was that for?
So I reckon in its different outfits and looks, like because we bought some of Dick Cameron shares, and we become partners in the Davidson Cameron business.
In the whole business. And that was about 11 offices?
11 offices, 50 staff. So stock and station agency, rural property, real estate, property management. That would have been 12 years, 10 or 11, 12 years or something, I suppose.
Yep.
And we went through the whole process of Ruralco buying us out. We're a joint venture, and then just different shareholdings. It was a good time of my career, because that it was a lot of business learnings, a lot of that's when we sort of started really diving into real estate. Like we were a traditional stock and station agency business, and that's when we said, well, right, we've got to diversify, and if we're going to have little satellite branches in all these little regional towns, that we need to be able to offer a larger suite of products but have dual people doing different roles.
Well, that's when I came and worked
100%.
for you for 11 months or so.
Yep.
And you were sort of going from the stock and station business into property, and you got pretty seriously into property. What were the biggest learnings for you switching from stock and station into property?
So the biggest learning is when you're a salesperson, you like getting the kill. I believe. Like I look at
the negotiation of
the kill of a deal, like doing a deal. So in livestock, you get it's like a pig dog pup. I call it. Well, this is my analogy. You'll probably see throughout today.
I might have to explain to people what a pig dog pup is later.
Good. So a pig dog pup catches a pig, and he gets a kill, right? So in the stock and station agency game, like we're getting a sale and getting a deal every day. Okay, so that might be selling a mob of lambs, selling a mob of sheep, selling a mob of cattle. We're getting a shot every day.
Property is much longer.
In rural property, you mightn't do a deal for 6 to 8 months, but when you get a deal, it's a very big deal, right? A lot of the time. So that was my biggest thing, is having to and because what it is in sales, you get that satisfaction to say, right, I've done a deal, you know. But in rural property, you might invest so much time into this thing, looking at the big shiny light, thinking I'm going to get this big commission, and then all of a sudden it just stops, or they find another place, or they can't get the money, or the vendor changes his mind, or it's just that was my biggest thing. And
when you won the Australasian Championships and you came over to compete in the World Championships for auctioneering, how old were you?
21, I reckon.
21. How much preparation did you have to do for that?
Oh, a lot. Like back, you look at it now. I look at it now, and you probably think, Jesus, it's not that much. But like back in the time, like it was the hot, like it was just the absolute highlight and a very surreal
thing for someone
feeling.
At 21. Did you go on your own or?
Took Karina over. I think we might have been engaged at that stage. I think her mum and dad come on the trip with us, and then my mum and dad they also met us over there. So no, it was good. It was a great experience. And
how many people compete in that or get to the World Championships?
Only one in Australia, but I think there's probably could be 20 to 30 all around the world. But like it's a very Canadian-based thing. Like the Americans' auctioneering style is a lot different to ours, like a lot different, you know.
And does that work for you or against you at that competition?
Oh, against, I reckon. It's just a different style. It's absolute chalk and cheese. We can understand them, they can understand us. You know, just a different. Like if you put an American auctioneer into an Australian system, people wouldn't be able to understand them because it's more of a sing and a rhythm and a song sort of thing. So
I find stock and station agency and obviously, you know, I grew up in the bush and going to the cattle yards with Dad and going to goods and chattel sales and things. I loved it, but it wasn't until I met you and you started to talk about the breath work and what it does to your lungs compared to what resi auctioneers do. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Oh, so in the Australian Livestock and Property Agents Association, they run schools and classes and they get professional speech pathologists in, like just to understand your breathing techniques and longevity. It's more about longevity and like in a real estate auction, basically, again, a real estate to a livestock auctioneer is two completely different things. Like the real estate auction is a lot about the showmanship and theatre, and you know, I don't agree with all the thing that happens in a real estate platform, in an auctioneering platform, but you know, they're up there for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You know what I mean? Like whereas a livestock auctioneer, he's got to be yelling at the loudest of his voice for 3, 4, and 5 hours.
And the projection is unbelievable.
The voice projection. So you've got to look after your voice. You've got to look after your throat. You've got to know where you get your wind from and get your air from to breathe and all that sort of thing. So it is very different, and there's no showmanship. Like a lot of it's, you know, we're dealing to a professional buying audience that's their job, okay, and we're dealing to clients that's their livelihood, okay. So we're basically the mediator. As an auctioneer, we're the mediator for those two parties. Whereas in residential auctioneering, a lot of the time they've got no actual relationship with the person that owns the house, and they don't really care. They're just busting to get to the next auction, and they're dealing to an unprofessional mob of buyers. So all their buyers there, it's a lot of the time that's their first, second, third time they're buying a house, so there's no, and they don't know how to bid. Okay, so in a livestock auction, that's a professional meat companies in front of you, and that's their job. A lot of the time they're smarter than you, and we're trying to outsmart each other.
Yes.
Okay, so. You know, it's just difference.
And just from a projection point of view, because there's a lot of listeners, I remember when I took the guys from Di Jones out to the Drought Drive and we went to Dubbo sale yards and no one had ever seen it before.
Yep.
What sort of noise are you trying to get over the top? Like what's the yard?
Oh, yeah, so you got sheep and cattle.
How many?
Thousands. Like, you know, Tamworth sale yards were up to 8,000 cattle at times, like 10 to 15,000 sheep and lambs.
So there's a bit to project over.
The projection, yeah,
a bit of projection. Daniel, when you and Karina opened McCulloch Agencies, you did some really cool, innovative things, right?
Yep.
From community to marketing to opening other offices. Could you talk to us about that time and some of the things you did to build the brand, build the team, and get more known across all your different products?
Yeah, yep. So basically, in my eyes, I reckon you start a business for three main reasons. One's to create a legacy. One's to revenge because somebody said you couldn't do it, and the other one's to make money. A lot of people do it in the wrong order. A lot of people do it just for the money. And to us, like, money was important, but we weren't building it.
It wasn't the primary.
It wasn't. We want to build McCulloch Agencies to make money. It was probably the legacy piece and the revenge piece because, we're a big, like, I've only ever had two jobs in my life, right? So Jace Goodwin left into Davidson Cameron, and then I left Davidson Cameron. So basically, and along, I don't like leaving places, right? But it was just something that happened within that business that I didn't agree with, and it was different. And that was we sort of probably
was the catalyst.
We hit
a
turning. I always say, we hit a T piece in our life. It was like if we turned left, it would have been one something, and if we turned right, it would have been another. So we come to that stage, and it was right. I'm going to show you, fellas, and that's looking back. We wouldn't, you look at that sliding doors moment, and you think, well, if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had the same style of business that we had today. Do you know what I mean?
How so?
We end up having a bit of a blue, and we ended up in the Supreme Court, all that sort of jazz, and it left a bit of a bad taste in our mouth. So we thought, righto, we're gonna go here, and we'll show you fellas that we can run a better business than you. Looking back, should we have done it? Probably not, but I don't have any regrets in what we've done. But we instead of that legacy piece in starting a business, we probably acted too much on the revenge piece, and we were just we're opening up offices for the wrong reasons post COVID.
How many did you do?
I reckon probably 6.
Quickly?
Like all green. We bought one little business over at Warhope.
What did you learn about scaling quickly?
Oh, look, it was good. Like we had a pretty good team around us. Like we had
an exceptional team around you.
Yeah, I put a general manager on because I love selling stuff, doing deals, building up people, bringing everything I did. Yeah. I'd always have a salesperson with me. I'd never do anything by myself, and that's probably because I'm half a useless bastard as well, but you know what I mean? Like,
pretty good at it, but I think always, better to know what you're good at, not
if I'm doing a livestock job, I'm taking a livestock person, I'm doing a property manager, whatever, sale. Every time I was doing something, I'm taking a person with me.
You're the energy in the relationship and the closer.
I can put it together, and then somebody else manages that
runs
project.
with the behind.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then I can go and get somebody else started. Like it was good. Like we got up to 30 staff pretty quick, and it. Like I think we didn't have anything. We didn't have a plan. Like we didn't know, right, are we going to get to 1 office, 2 office, 3 office, 4 office? We just said, right, we're going to start McCulloch Agencies and we're going to go. And looking back, probably should have had a plan, but we didn't because we got to a stage and it was. I remember our accountant Dave Barnett. He said, "This is all good. Like we're making a heap of money and we're having a heap of fun." And I remember I even ordered a new plane from the States over here. I was going to come over to the States and bought this new plane, paid the deposit, $70,000 deposit. Everything was party mode. And then he I remember the accountant. I'll never forget the meeting. He said the music at some stage will change, and I didn't get it then. See, because I'd always been in companies where we were using other people's money, like at Davidson Cameron, like they were, they guaranteed the money. Then Ruralco brought them out. Ruralco guaranteed the money, but in McCulloch Agencies,
this time the buck stopped with you.
This was our cash. Okay, so and in livestock, the difference between operating a real estate business and a livestock business is the real estate business you don't actually need that much money because all you got to do is pay the rent, pay your staff, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you don't actually need that much cash. But
could you talk about that?
Yeah.
Because I found that really interesting when you told me about the liability with
Yeah. So in the livestock business, so basically we're Del Credere agents, so we guarantee payment to our clients. So you come to us with 100 cattle to sell, and we sell those cattle for $2,000 each. So we charge you 4% of that. So we owe you $200,000, right? So basically, we'll pay you in 7 days, 7 business working days. But the buyer, and then we take on the risk to get the money out of the buyer. So we'll sell them to a buyer to the highest price bidder. Doesn't matter. A lot of the times it doesn't matter too much on terms. Like we have our terms of 7 days, so we can ideally pay you out on the 7th, get the money back in there, so we're not holding the cash. But what happens, a lot of the buyers don't pay on time. So a lot of the buyers, so we've already paid you out your $200,000. And the buyer mightn't pay for 14, he mightn't pay for 28, he mightn't pay 21, 28,
and then you're on the hook.
So then we're on the hook for all this cash, okay? So but a lot of the times that's you with one client with 200,000. You could have 20 of them. You know what I mean? So you're dealings with
it's like unpaid VPA.
Millions and millions of dollars that we've paid out. We're holding the exposure and risk, and we're just hoping them buyers pay. And it's this big circle that just keeps going. You know what I mean? So that's
huge exposure. I mean,
huge exposure.
That would worry me sick.
Yeah.
Which probably then led potentially. I'm not sure, but I do remember seeing you in the Tamworth airport one day in the car, and you put a deal in front of me, and you're like, "What do you think?" Which leads us to LAWD.
Ah, yes, yep.
Right, with your time there. What prompted you to do that?
Sorry, I was going on that. So that was the meeting with the accountant. That was my moment, or whatever you call it. So we walked out of we had 30 staff. We had a big livestock business. We had a big real estate business, big rural property business, offices everywhere, a lot of exposure.
Really high.
It was $106,000 a week to keep the doors open, and we could just feel a bit of a change of music. You
knew what was coming.
You could tell the party can't go on forever. But we had an attractive business. Like we had a business that we were getting approached by people to join our team. Can we buy you out? All that sort of stuff. So we'd built this attractive business that people wanted to buy, because a lot of the thing in business is the people with money don't know how to build the business, and the people that know how to build the business haven't got any money. Do you know what I mean? So it's
so true. We see that a lot.
Basically joining the two up, and at that stage, I probably, and I still do today. Like even we've left and we've had the divorce and all that sort of stuff. Like the Cole Medway and Danny Thomas, I believe, still two of the best rural property agents in Australia. Okay, and they're a private business with Lord, and I seen that business like we were dating a few people, but I seen that business as probably where I personally wanted to go myself and become the next Australian, rural property agent, I suppose. So that's
leader in that space. Because you were starting to do some pretty big deals at that time as well, right?
Yeah. And that was my passion, I suppose, is the rural property side of the business. Like even though we do a lot of different things in McCulloch Agencies, my passion is just because it's harder, it's more challenging. Like I think I got bored a bit in livestock. Residential real estate isn't my niche, you know what I mean? Like I love my livestock, basically I reckon I'm a farmer at heart, but there's not enough money in farming, so that's why I go to agency to make the cash.
That rural property game is quite commercial, and there's a lot of numbers, and you've got to be kind of smart, and imagine putting information memorandums together and dealing with the buyers that you deal with.
It's developed a hell of a lot in the last 10 to 15 years. Like the rural property agents, it used to be where you spent the last 10 years of your career. So you'd be a stock agent up until you were 55 to 60.
Burnt out and become a rural property.
You're burnt out. You run out of energy. You think, how can I keep making money for the next 10 years until I have to retire? Okay, I'll stay in the same office. I'll put a couple of young blokes on, and I'll become the rural property salesperson. Because it's so lumpy, it's hard for young blokes to get in.
Carry the cash flow,
right? So that's the. But I probably. And it was back when you started. I like some of the systems that you guys use in residential real estate. Like if you could implement them into the rural property, like you would actually jump the queue pretty fast. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time when that farmer's selling his place, like he's not selling a $600,000 house.
No, it's a massive asset.
He's selling a $6 million property. So
let's talk about that for a sec, because I see all the time, and we always laugh, and a lot of the agents that are in the REB are exceptional at what they do.
Yep.
But I'm also, I guess, because I'm from the bush, I'm aware of what the rural agents are, and I did 17 years with Elders Limited. So I've seen what some of those big boys can do. And I think the REB top 5 have all done over 500 million in like a course of a year in volume.
Yep.
But then I have a look at some of the sales that the rural guys do. And I know you would never say it out loud, but there was 12 months there where you had a $60, a $70 million sale, and no one ever hears anything about it. Yeah. What if you could educate our listeners, because a lot of the guys listening are in resi businesses, the big boys, and I don't mean to be sexist with that, but I only know 2 female rural agents who do pretty well, Ainsley and Kim. But outside of that, what's the the biggest producers, of which you're in, doing in rural in Australasia? What are the property prices they're selling?
Oh, look, agencies changed a bit in that corporate space. Like them deals are, 50 to 100 million. Like that's, but you don't get them very often. You know what I mean? Like you don't.
It's come back a bit, right? In the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because there was a pretty good ride there for a while.
Still very good. The market's probably overshot a bit. You know what I mean? Like it was when interest rates were low. Commodity prices were high, returns in farm were good. We had all this, superannuation, corporate money coming into Australia, international money, and ag was sexy. Do you know what I mean? But the market probably got too hot. Okay, and now we're seeing that it won't come back. It'll flatline and transactions will stop.
Had to stabilise a little bit.
Had to. It couldn't keep going. It got too hot.
So now we're back in our own agency. How many offices are you at the moment?
Just 2. So Tamworth and Mungandai.
Tamworth, I love shrinking to grow. I think it's super smart.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, you and Karina are a great team, right? Because she's particularly good with the business planning and the checkbook and all those sort of things. You know your numbers, but it's great to have that support behind the scenes where you go out and be the forefront of the business.
Yep.
The agricultural property market has had significant volatility over the last couple of years and can do, right?
Yep.
Like everyone thinks, doom and gloom, we're recalibrating in Sydney at the moment. I'm like, you don't know what it's like to go through a drought.
Yeah.
You know what it's like when the floor falls through cattle prices. And I was talking to Mum and Dad about this the other day. I think wheat per tonne is exactly the same price as the year I went to boarding school in 1988, which is terrifying, right?
Yep.
So what leadership skills have you learned about not only being a farmer, having to write that, but having different business units? So, property management, so investment, which I know you love so much, cattle and sheep with the stock, and then rural property and resi. What have you learned in leadership skills around managing vendor expectations, team, and leading a business through a changing market?
Yeah. So the way I look at things is what we actually do today. Like we think we've got it all going on, but the process and what we actually do hasn't changed in the last 1,500 years. Like,
do we overcomplicate it?
Overcomplicate it to the billio. Okay, so like what we do probably my biggest downfall is I'm doing too many things. Like we're doing, livestock.
Stop it.
But
Daniel McCulloch doing
when I'm
things
talking, I'm thinking, am I talking about livestock, rural property, real estate, or whatever? You know what I mean? But talk about the ag space in general. Like I laugh when I see this stuff on Sydney. The prices come back 10% or up 5% or 2% or whatever. Like in the livestock industry, we can have swings of 100%.
That can happen in 90 days.
And that can happen in 2 weeks. Like we can have, like 10-cent drops, 20-cent drops, 30-cent drops, and then over a period of time, like you've got, and it's people's livelihood that they're relying on. Okay, so and then we're relying on the weather. Okay, so the how much feed's about, how much rain there is, and then is interest rates, and like there's just so much that goes into it. But I think as agents we overcomplicate it, because it's been done before.
So on that then, control the controllables.
Yep.
Something that you do control and influence incredibly well and have for as long as I've known you is the relationship with the customer.
Yep.
From gifting to experiences to when people walk into your office. Could you share with our listeners about some of the things that you've introduced at McCulloch to build depth of relationship with your customer?
Yeah. So
and what you do around seasonal stuff.
So with our clients, a lot of them are like we've had them for a long time because we're selling their livestock every time, all year round. So we're talking to them on a weekly basis.
So yarding weekly sometimes.
Yeah. So a lot of the like when we go into, they say we want to sell our farm. Like we're not going in there. A lot of the time they haven't had 6 or 7 agents or 3 agents out. You know what I mean? Like they're just saying, Daniel, we want to sell our farm. But yeah, how do we look after them? I suppose gift packs and all that sort of jazz.
So, Daniel, you've done some amazing stuff with the team to build culture during the time. What are some of the things you've done with the team that we can rip off and duplicate?
Yeah, so basically we've been to Port Macquarie, played golf. We had a fellow called George Barton. He was an Olympic shooter with us at McCulloch Agencies. He was a clay target shooter, and we got him to do some clay target shooting, which is great. We just try and do things. It's a big family environment, like Credere Rugby Club, like all those sorts of things. Like we just try and keep it all partners come and, we just try and keep it as a family orientated.
Be present everywhere. One of the things that a lot of leaders and business owners find hard is saying no to sponsorship.
Yep.
How do you control that? Because we can sponsor and pay for everything, right?
Yeah.
What's your benchmark for if you get behind something, or how do you say yes and how do you say no?
So it's the same. We get asked every day, and it is hard sometimes. But basically, I would rather give $50 to 20 people than $2,000 to one person, so we try and spread it out. But I'd like to try and get a return on what we do. You know what I mean? If it's a client looking their kids, that's a good one, I reckon. But you can't sponsor every soccer club in Tamworth either. You know what I mean? So
no, you just can't.
You just can't. So basically, you just try and put them on. If you don't want to do it, don't say no. Just say, look, we're capped out for this year, but come and talk to us next year.
And again, back to your ethos of never say no to an opportunity and always put yourself out there.
Yep.
Let's kind of wrap with where you guys are heading tomorrow and a little bit more about that tour and what you're talking about and the sort of audience and the opportunity there.
So it started back when in Tamworth. So TFI, they had some clients of theirs, the Wiegman group. So Wiegman's like Woolworths and Coles.
Yes.
But 20 times as big over here in America, and they wanted to come and look at an Australian farm, so we give them a tour of our farms, and just really got to build a strong relationship very fast with the fellow we're going to see. So like his kids are into showing cattle, my kids are into showing cattle. So we're just taking up the opportunity. So we're going to TFI, so that they're going to their facility in America in Philadelphia, and then I've got to talk to their sales team about, not that I know anything about selling meat or anything like that, but
it's the same.
Yeah.
Whatever you're selling. Incredible opportunity.
Yep.
We will put some information in there for our listeners so they can have a look at what you did and what that looked like in the audience you spoke to. I want to finish with two things because you are exceptional on the phone. I've heard you put deals together.
Yep.
Any dialogue or go-to that you'd like to share around either prospecting for new clients or closing deals or qualifying buyers, some dialogue that you could instill on our listeners?
Not so much dialogue, just I get... It makes me a bit, not cranky. Cranky's the wrong word. You go to these shows like the Arix example, and
you got to say this.
Oh, and it's the amount they say they do, and I just can't fathom how they think that's good. You know what I mean? Like they say, I've done 150 phone calls for the day. Like I wouldn't have made 150 phone calls in my lifetime in a day. You know what I mean? And even if
but the quality,
the quality, like they've just got to sit down and make 10 good phone calls.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And write 10 today, 10 tomorrow, 10. Like that's 50 for the week. That's enough.
And connect and have a good conversation.
Have a conversation. Have a meaningful conversation with somebody. Don't try and do 150, because if you do, you become like these blokes in New York that try and sell you bus tickets. You're one of them. You know what I mean? Like you want the.
You've been to Times Square in the last couple of days, haven't you?
You just want those genuine talks.
What's been the most important thing that's happened to you in your either stock and station or real estate career that has been life-changing?
Life-changing? I don't know.
What are you proudest of?
Life-changing. Probably just the business in general. I reckon, like a lot of like our office, like we're trying to. I suppose I want somebody to, when we're gone, you know what I mean. I always look at, like, we went to that Rockefeller building here yesterday, and it's like, what are you going to leave behind, And
what's your legacy? What's
your legacy going to be? And I reckon that's what we are, and I reckon, like our office in town, we've got a sandstone logo on there, the McCulloch Agencies, and hopefully, that's going to be there for 100 years, and our.
Do you think the kids will do anything in the business?
Oh, probably not.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they do, but when their kids are talking about who their grandparents were, and there's a sandstone stone in the Tamworth. We've got a very high profile office in Tamworth that we
got a great office you bought a couple of years ago
in Tamworth, and I'm good mates with the Piddingtons at the funeral directors, and they got a headstone. It was a bit of sandstone with a hand chiseled McCulloch Agencies out logo, and I done that for that exact reason, that I want to leave something here for that. We're only on Earth for like a very short amount of time.
So what legacy do you want to leave?
Well, it's just that we were. entrepreneurial to start up a business, and we were, at the end of the day, my aim is to be a farmer. I'm only in the agency space to make money. I know that sounds bad, but
I don't think it sounds bad at all. I think you've got an intent and purpose, and you want to provide your kids with something amazing, send them to good schools, and make some money.
And that's why I go as hard as I do, is because I don't want to do it until I'm 65. Like if I'm still here at 50. Don't talk to me. Like I've got 9 years left, and I will go as hard as I possibly can for the next 9 years, and then I'll be a farmer. And I've had that plan my whole life. I do not want to be an agent when I'm over 50. And that's why I go so hard.
Well, do you know what I'm going to say is thank you so much for coming and sharing time with us. I know you're on your way to Philly and you're here with your family and you've taken time out. So please go and have lunch with your beautiful family. But I'll tell you what, in my eyes, I'll remember Daniel McCulloch for, is you have outworked any person that I know that has walked this planet. So congratulations.
Second to you.
Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us.
Yep, thank you. No worries.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Impact and Influence. Click follow to get notified about future episodes. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And to learn more about our courses, our study tours, conferences, keynote topics and our services, or how simply we might be able to help support you in taking you to places you never thought possible, please visit regrowthkyliewalsh.com. Impact and Influence is proudly brought to you by Flick It Over, an industry-leading forms provider and e-signature platform built for real estate. Flick It Over is an office-wide solution for sales, property management and operations that delivers noticeable efficiency and a seamless client signing experience via email and SMS. Unleash the power of SMS and get documents back 60% faster with Flick It Over.